Hello, welcome to my channel. In this episode, I will be reviewing for you an African violet called Cajun's Fair Maiden. This variety was hybridized by Belinda Thibodeaux, the author of all Cajun's varieties. Cajun's Fair Maiden was registered with the African Violet Society of America in 2013 under the number of 10636. I grew this plant from a leaf that I received from Bloom Lovers in Canada last year. I ordered two Cajun's varieties then, Cajun's Dixie Pride and this one, Cajun's Fair Maiden. And I recently made a video review for Cajun's Dixie Pride, and here it is. It's still blooming. So here they are together, and I like them both equally. They're beautiful Cajun's African Violet varieties. Cajun's Dixie Pride has darker and fuller blooms with more pronounced edge, raspberry edge, and Cajun's Fair Maiden has blooms that are more delicate and pale pink, and they're contrasting very well with the dark green foliage, variegated foliage. Cajun's Fair Maiden is a standard variety, and the foliage, in addition to dark green, has the variegation of cream and pink colors. Here it is at the center where you can see it the best. And I'm hoping as it grows cooler next winter season, the variegation will get more pronounced. The foliage is also described as plain, heart-shaped, and quilted. I like the leaves on this variety. The leaves are very similar, I find. I think Dixie Pride has more variegation, at least in my growing conditions. But we'll see. When these two grow up, I will make a follow-up video if the variegation changes. Regular standards are known to grow from 8 to 16 inches in diameter, and this young plant has reached 10 inches across, and it is now growing in a 3.5-inch pot, and I will soon be repotting it to the standard size for standard African violets, 4-inch pot. This plant has recently started its first blooming cycle. The flowers of Cajun's Fair Maiden are described as semi-double and double pink frilled pansies with darker eye and variable thin raspberry sparkle edge. This plant is still very young, and the edge is noticeable but very faintly. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that raspberry edge as it matures. I hope you can see it. It's very light raspberry edge. And the flowers, as I mentioned, they are very pale pink, which is very attractive on this particular hybrid. The flowers are rather large. They are about 1.5 inch to 2 inches in diameter, and here they are in comparison to a dime coin. This is a very young bloom. It's smaller in size, and here is an older bloom. They are very good sized blooms. There is a great online database providing information about the parental lineage of African violet hybrids. It is called St. Paulia Ancestry Project. I will include a link to it in the description box. And what I found interesting in the Cajun's lineage in particular is that this particular hybrid, Cajun's Fair Maiden, and this one, Cajun's Dixie Pride, have the same set of parents. The seed parent of both hybrids is Funambule, and the pollen parent Buckeye Cranberry Sparkler. Funambule is a very well-known hybrid in the African violet world with blue blooms, double or semi-double with some white and pink fantasy. And so there's no blue on either of these hybrids that originated from. They're both pink. And Buckeye Cranberry Sparkler is bright pink with some raspberry edge and raspberry fantasy. So they took the pink shade, both of them, and some raspberry fantasy and some faint edge from their pollen plant, Buckeye Cranberry Sparkler. But I think the rosette and the variegation on the leaves are from the seed plant, Funambule. Here we can compare the leaves. I don't have the Funambule in my collection, but the leaves look very similar, the variegation. Here, I'm trying to show you both simultaneously. Yeah, so the foliage looks more like the seed parent plant, Funambule. In addition to Cajun's Fair Maiden and Cajun's Dixie Pride, I have two other Cajuns that happen to have originated from exact same set of parents. Cajun's Flamboyant Mistress. This was my very first Cajun that I got from Linden Lion last year. And you can see it has also pink blooms just like the other two. And I have a blue variety which is still very young and it's in the greenhouse currently growing up. It's called Cajun's Fascinating Fury. I got it from Bloom Lovers as a leaf last year, so it's still a very little starter plant. And Cajun's Fascinating Fury that I can't show you right now is the only variety that has blue flowers with some, I believe, pink fantasy. And so it appears that Cajun's Fascinating Fury out of all these four hybrids is the only hybrid that took after the seed plant in terms of the color of the blooms after Funambule. I'm looking forward to my plant of Cajun's Fascinating Fury to grow up and start blooming so I can show all four of them together as a little family that originated from the same set of parents. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, I'll tell you about my growing environment for these violets that I had just shown to you, and in particular Cajun's Fair Maiden, the star of today's episode. I'm growing it under a combination of LED and natural light on the west-facing window. And the temperature in my environment is now in mid to upper 70s, and the humidity is at 65%. You can see that the lowest humidity here is 52% and the highest is 71%. And that is because I started using the humidifier. So the 71 is the level of humidity that was reached while the humidifier was in use, as opposed to 52% that was the regular humidity before I started using humidifier last night. I grow it on a wick, and for wicking liquid I use regular tap water that I let stand for 48 hours to release the chlorine in case The chlorine is present in my city water. And to the water I add 1/4 teaspoon of Dynagrow liquid plant food fertilizer per gallon of water. And this particular fertilizer has a ratio of 7:9:5 of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Why I like it, it's because the nitrogen is not urea based, and urea is known to cause root burn in African violets. And I also like it because it has some helpful elements, chemical elements or minerals that are helpful for African violet nutrition, such as calcium, magnesium, and iron, and manganese. So I recommend this particular fertilizer if you're growing African violets. So here it is again, Cajun's Fair Maiden by Belinda Thibodeaux. I like this variety for the beautiful, delicate, pale pink blooms and the contrasting variegated dark green rosette. I hope you like it as well. Thank you all so very much for watching. Stay safe and be well. And if you'd like to stay tuned for my future videos, please subscribe